Glad you're here on this first Saturday of fall. Larry Smith, Mike Hagley, Brad Sturdy, our producer, Tony Cordero, also joining us here. Josh Ewing is working audio for us. Another big weekend of college football. And fellas, we have a lot to talk about here. But man, you know what? I wake up every morning and I go used to check the paper with my coffee. Now I just check the internet and saw something that I don't know the last time I ever saw this. In the AP top 10, there's only one team from the SEC, and that's Georgia. What in the name of Bear Bryant's going on?
Well, it's definitely interesting, isn't it? With Alabama isn't Alabama anymore, right? I mean, all of a sudden they aren't as good, and Georgia's number one, but Florida had lost to Utah, although they had the big win. There's nobody. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are still solid. It's not like the SEC went away and got bad, but there aren't the elite teams. I mean, the elite teams, there's Georgia, and then there are a bunch of teams from the Pac-12, a bunch of teams from the Big Ten, and so forth. And there you go. And it's going to be interesting to see if Georgia doesn't win, then what are we going to do? Could be the death of the SEC. No, just kidding. No. Not really.
Well,
it just means more.
Yeah, it is so funny to see Saban. He's also in a cranky mood. Lane Kiffin did a great job of rolling the grenade in and then leaving when he suggested that the defensive coordinator had been, demoted by Saban without telling anybody publicly. And Saban starts off his press conference tamping down that rumor. I don't know if Lane Kiffin can coach or not, but he might be the greatest troll in the history of the world for what he's doing down there.
He's fantastic.
Kind of like the player that, you love to hate, but wish he was on your team kind of thing. I mean,
Lenny Dykstra.
Coaches, right? Exactly. He's like that for coaches. Like, I hate that guy.
Or that Coach Sturdy.
Yes, he's that guy too.
Exactly. But it's crazy. You're right. Only one there because Alabama has been such a staple, but the Tide, first time since 2015, they are not part of the top 10. They are at home against Kiffin's Ole Miss Rebels. The Rebels at 15, Alabama 13. It's a CBS game, 3:30 Eastern kick. When you look at this Alabama team really struggling, made a change at quarterback last week, brought in the former Notre Dame kid, Buckman. He didn't do anything. They put Milroe back in. And so this week, Saban making the announcement that the young Milroe will be his starter this week against the Rebels. Let's listen to Coach Saban talking about this week's game.
From a quarterback standpoint, this is all I'm going to say about this. Jalen really showed the leadership that I was looking for, during the game in terms of supporting his teammates and doing the things he needed to do. He's had the opportunity to play. So as the other guys. Jalen played the best of all those guys. And so I think he's earned the opportunity to be the quarterback. I don't think when you give up 5 sacks and I think that our players they ran a lot of blitzes, a lot of looks, nothing that only one thing that they did that we'd not worked on. But I think the players were not communicating well and not on the same page, sometimes. And I think that created issues and problems. I thought that the offensive line played like our offensive line needs to play in the last 6 minutes and 29 seconds of the game. And that's something that we want to build on. Look, we're looking forward to, SEC opener. We've had 3 games to kind of evaluate our team in a lot of different areas. Ole Miss is a really, really good team. Lane has done a great job there with the program. This is one of the best offensive teams in the country in terms of things that they do, multiples that they have, the way their players are coached and how they execute. They're playing better on defense. So this is a really, really good team. And, we're going to have to play, our best. And we need to improve to be able to do that. No, I think they're outstanding. Obviously, they 4th in the country or something in total offense and scoring, 52 points a game and 526 yards. So this is Lane's an offensive guy, did a great job when he was here, and he's doing a great job there. And the players do a great job of executing them, which is always a good sign of, a well-coached team. And I think he's done a fantastic job there.
I think with the Alabama offensive line issues that they're having, they're obviously not cohesive. They're not there yet. I think having a mobile quarterback like Milroe is important for them. I think that's will help them. You saw that. But the biggest thing he's got to do is not make the mistakes, like he did against Texas. Really, the Texas game hinged on the fact that he threw those 2 picks, and those 2 picks were huge in Texas getting that win. So if he doesn't throw the interceptions, I think that's maybe a different game, and maybe we're not talking about Alabama in the same light we are right now. So, we'll see what happens. This is not an easy game, though. Ole Miss is a very good team.
Yeah, I also there's also a part of me that almost is like, well, now we've seen them both. Milroe's the guy, so stop saying anything to me. I just think Saban is he's probably a little bit tired of people questioning him. And when you look at his record at Alabama, does he really deserve to be questioned? I mean, there's not a lot of bad coaching that's coming out of Tuscaloosa.
No, that's right. Yeah, he is the GOAT, no question. Meanwhile, quarterback problems or controversy maybe being solved, Brad, to your point, and Mike, with putting Milroe back in, and he's the guy. Meanwhile, for the Rebels, there's no question. Jackson Dart has been outstanding. 852 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. Also leads the team in rushing as well, with more than 6 yards a carry. Doing just a great job here. And that's the thing with Lane Kiffin. Has his issues, say what you want, but he's got this Rebels program consistently in the top 20. And guys, here's the thing. SEC West battle, right? Every game counts from here on out with a non-con behind you. The team that loses this has an uphill climb to try to get to Atlanta in December.
Yeah. It's I think that's one of those things where if you win this game, you're kind of in the driver's seat a little bit, but if you lose, it's going to be tough. And you saw this happen in Alabama last year, right? They lost those early, the game to Tennessee, and then they lose to LSU, and then they're not in the title game, even though they conceivable they could have been one of the best 4 teams last year. But this is why you got to win these games that are put in front of you, especially at this point in the season, and to keep yourself in contention down the stretch.
Well, and like I said, Kiffin is just throwing curveballs left and right, because after that kind of died down, the defensive coordinator, I love his response was, I wasn't trying to start anything. We just saw things on TV where it was different. And then he finishes up with, it's no big secret. People in their buildings know each other, and we got some information that way too. So you throw in the fact that maybe coaches are talking when they shouldn't, and then you just leave the room. I mean, there probably should be a textbook on how to mentally go to war against another coach, and Lane should probably write it. I don't know if he knows how to win the war, but he knows how to go to war.
Can you imagine if he had the best talent in the country, though? He would be really funny. We'd be watching him like we watch Deion Sanders now.
Yeah. Him and Deion might be the future of coaching.
It could be.
It's very possible. Lane Kiffin reminds me of Pierce Brosnan and Thomas Crown Affair, when he's like, "Oh no, I didn't do this." He's the guy pulling the fire alarm, and it me? No, it was them. Those guys over there, not me. Meanwhile, number 1 Georgia, we talked about just a moment ago. Another easy game at home, heavy favorite, 40-point favorite over UAB. 7:30 kick at Sanford Stadium. But look, some things to work on with this Bulldogs offense. 6 trips to the red zone against South Carolina last week, but only got 3 touchdowns. They've got some things to work out. Coach Kirby Smart right here talking about the issues right now with the offense, and sticking with Carson Beck, his quarterback.
I think we challenge him with different things. What I've been most proud of is his composure, number 1, which I never doubted. He has a great demeanor about him that he handles positive and negative almost the same. As a matter of fact, there was a touchdown Saturday I saw him celebrate for the first time, and that's really good. Like when you see that emotion, there was one of the touchdowns in the second half that he got a little emotional and excited. I think our guys kind of rally around him when he does that. stepping up in the pocket. There's a couple times that he started losing a little confidence and he started stepping back. He's got to be willing to step up, like they talk about in race car drivers. When the smoke's there, you got to go right through it. There's a lot of smoke in there sometimes, especially when people pressure you. You got to be willing to step up and go through it, and not always out and around it, because you can't always outrun it that way. So, but I'm really pleased with the way he's playing. But certainly things he can continue to work on. The offense that we've played this year is the exact same offense as we played for the last 3 years. Look at the plays. Anybody that knows football would tell you that the plays are the same. Our execution in the red area hadn't been great, and hadn't scored as many points. We haven't been as explosive and as dynamic. And some of that has to do with players being out, and some of that has to do with executing. But very comfortable with where we are offensively. I'm very pleased with where things are. I'm not panicking in any kind of way, because South Carolina has a good team. And we're figuring out who we are. We're figuring out who we are with our identity, and I think our coaching staff and players and complete organization is doing a great job. You guys just aren't happy with the results, but I'm very happy with the way our guys fought back and came back and overcame.
Yeah, I think Georgia is, they deserve the number 1 ranking until they lose, but I don't think they're clearly not the same team. Carson Beck isn't, the guy yet. And so I think they've still got a good defense. They've still got a good team. They're still one of the best teams in the country. But they don't look like the same team from the last 2 years. I mean, that's why it's hard to win back-to-back national championships, much less 3 in a row, right? So this is why you have turnover, you have change. They're not at the same level now. Where will they be at the end of the year? Possibly. We'll see.
Well, the other thing is, when you have 3/4 of your defense playing for the Philadelphia Eagles or whoever else in the NFL, I mean, it's pretty amazing that Georgia's doing as well as they are. And people are like, I mean, most teams would kill to have this opening to a season. It's just okay.
Yeah. They're 4-0. Yeah. When you're 2-time defending champs, that's what happens, right? They won, only won by 30? Really? Oh, yeah, exactly. The most famous guy on the field really won't be wearing a uniform. UAB first-year head coach Trent Dilfer. He, with a Super Bowl ring, the former quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens and several other teams, has got his team right now at 1-2 as the Blazers take on a number 1 ranked team for the first time in program history. But guys, it does get tougher after this. With Georgia, when you talk about, here's a team that, again, they, struggled early on with South Carolina. And to your point, that may be some questions right now where, as we talk to people around the SEC, there are a lot of people who do believe, not just feel this way, they really do believe that Georgia's beatable, that for the first time in a long time, the SEC is there for the taking. It's not Alabama or Georgia. There are several other teams that have a shot at competing for the brass ring.
Yeah, I think that's what they believe. The problem is, eventually you have to do more than just believe, right? You got to go out and do it. And that's the hard part is, now I don't know that we're going to see a true, at Auburn's always a tough game for Georgia. It's always going to be a tough game, but when they go to Florida, when they have the Florida game, there, I think that's tough. And then, they finish at, they got games at Tennessee and Ole Miss at home, but yeah, I just think, I still don't see Georgia losing maybe 1 game. Yeah, they could stub their toe once, but I really think this is a team that's going to get in that SEC title game. So
I think it's really easy to speculate about how Georgia is not the team when they're not across the field from you. It's a lot easier to speculate. But when they're
that good,
but when they're standing over there, it's like, yeah, they really do look pretty good. And so I do think in the end here, maybe, call me naive, but until somebody knocks off the 2-time national champions, I'm not going to write them off as and throw the SEC up for grabs.
No. And when you think about it, among the contenders, I mean, they have maybe the easiest schedule as well.
Yes.
When you think about it. So, yeah. All right, much more to come. Stay with us. We've got a lot more to talk about the SEC right here on Big Sports Radio, SEC Edition. More next.